Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. This is gonna be a fun one. I think I'm gonna do it a little differently. I'm gonna have more kind of an open discussion, because I think burnout's one of those things that when you talk about it as a group and kind of everyone's been through it, and if
Oh
you
yeah,
talk about it more and less rigid, I guess I think people could learn more from it.
yeah, absolutely. I can speak from multiple times of experience, personal experience.
Yep, yep. Same
Yeah,
here, same here. And it's almost like it's not you don't avoid it. You know you're gonna have it. You just have to be prepared for it and have a strategy to go through it.
yeah, that's true. Very true.
Gonna wait just a few more minutes. Hopefully, a few more people jump on. I know a couple of people are on flights and doing the worldly traveler stuff.
Yeah, I saw that. There was another event or an EXP event in Scottsdale.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, for the wasn't that the top 200 or top 250 or something they were doing? I know. I don't know. I got something about that here a few weeks ago.
yeah, I'm not sure. I've been just not focused on any events right now.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I that's the fun part about this is that you can be you can focus on multiple things, which I actually think is one of the ways to overcome burnout is not always be focused only on one thing, but
Right.
to um, try to make as many baskets as you can, so to speak, so that you're constantly working what's working at that time.
That's right.
But give them just another minute or two here, I guess. Everyone's been busy, I guess, so they've been trailing on these calls. Good problem to have, though.
That's right. Got to keep business flowing into quarter 4. I guess we're only in
Yeah.
quarter 3.
Have you had any crazy deals or any fun deals going on?
I wouldn't say anything crazy. Like actually, things have been, I mean, pretty relatively smooth, which is good. You know what I mean?
That's good.
We had a couple that have sold like well over list price and quickly, and still some that are taking a little bit longer to sell that are just kind of confusing. So just working through that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, we've had a couple that we've sold that they sold for well below what everything would say they would sell for, but the market didn't agree with it. So we kind of, you
Yeah.
take with what you can get. And then we've also had some that you list and 2 days later they got full price offers and, no ask on inspections or anything, easy. So I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's nice to have, just some smooth sailing deals once in a while.
Yeah. Those are a blessing. Those are nice.
Yeah.
Oh man. We've been hitting the for sale by owners and the expireds really hard because we're getting like 600 to 700 a day still. Um,
Really.
we've kind of transitioned. That's our full prospecting mode right now because there's just so much of it where, if you want to get 2 or 3 listings in a day, it's just call more people and there's people to call. So it's good. We've
Yeah.
also found that the people that we're talking to, they in our market here, they're not being as aggressive as you would expect. Usually people are more, at least in my experience in '08 and '09 and all those years, a little more like aggressive. But these guys have actually been very workable. I think the saving grace is all of them still have equity. So, they're still okay. It's just they would have been a lot better here 12 months ago. But if it keeps going this way it's going, I think it can maybe start getting a little more aggressive. But there's just not many people doing it down here, and it's like unlimited business if you want to work it.
Really. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
still I mean, that's still a heavy, pillar here for a lot of people. Um, I mean, there are homes that are expiring. I wouldn't say that we're getting a ton, but there are some. But when you say they're not being as aggressive, you mean the sellers aren't being as aggressive, like in their list price or their expectations, or
No, I was actually, well, see, that's true too. They're being a little bit more, let's say, complacent, but we're talking more about when you're prospecting them and you're working them, the sellers have been very open to hearing what you got to say, hearing what you're doing. Um, they're not being aggressive in the fact of, that you pick up and they just yell at you and hang up, which we've
okay,
had that for many times. So these
yeah,
sellers have been, great. And then we've been able to really build an inventory in just, 60 days where we have a catalog of listings. And we're just cycling through them. They get listings and they get pending and sold, and they just kind of are doing the cycle, which our best years as a team down here were the expired years because we were able to work the system and we had unlimited expireds. And it's kind of the same thing going back where, it's just like as hard as you want to work, as many contacts as you want to make, you can get going.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I know California out there, you guys still have price increases. Your year over year is still positive. So you're not
Yeah, the
seeing that.
numbers are still showing that it's in, it's still in positive territory and still moving, moving upward, not like, double digit
Mhm.
percentages, but at the end of the day too, like, it's really micro, what is it called? Micro area specific. Like there's some areas that are having a really tough time and others that are like on fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So overall, I think, county wise, it's still looking good, but it's a market where sellers still need to be somewhat conservative. You know,
Yeah.
the
They have to
expectation
they
is
have to
still a little
still
bit
need to
higher.
sell and want to sell.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you seeing that the higher priced markets in your area are those the ones that are being a little harder to move, or what are you seeing as the microeconomic kind of areas that are still selling?
Yeah, like over 3 million bucks is a little. I think like the days on market on those have climbed up to like 125 to 130 days. Like over like 4 to 6 million is like 225 days. So that upper end market is moving a lot slower, and inventory wise, they're starting to stack up a little bit. But we are still seeing luxury high-end homes sell. It's just got to be it's got to be special, and unique. And there is a buyer out there for them, but again, that market is moving a little slower.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's the same, obviously same down here as our ultra luxury market is really slowed down. Our normal priced homes, under 600, those are selling consistently. Those are really all that's selling, which it's good, keeping the real estate economy going. But it's
Yeah.
also for a lot of areas they've slowed way down just because the prices have slowed down. But at the same time, I think we just sold a $173 million oceanfront property out here. So there's always buyers for everything if you have
There's
the
something.
jewel
Yeah,
that people
exactly.
want. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess let's start with the topic today because I know a couple of people will be jumping on late.
Okay.
Um, I think the topic today was thriving without burnout. So the idea was how are we able to continue going through burnout? How are we able to grow during times where we're not excited to do it? Um, Kind of want to hear we were just talking a minute ago. You said you've been through it. So let's chat about how you've gotten through it and your experiences and kind of see how you do it.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I've been in real estate for 17 years. And we've had some big upswing markets and some more, I've been through some other downturn cycles, but there has been probably, I could count at least two, if not three times where I feel like I've, experienced the burnout. And it starts where like there's a lot of momentum in the business, things are growing and you're excited. And then all of a sudden, for me, I was getting up at like 4:30 a.m. for my workouts and in the office by 7:30, et cetera, et cetera, but still working late into the night to like 11 or 12 o'clock at night, trying to get all of it done. And that's like before I was really expanding my team, and even when we had a larger team, but at the end of the day, it was exciting and fun and it just kind of carried through. But after so long of that, 3, 6, 8 months, you do start to feel the burnout, and it kind of sets in a little bit with like, frustration on certain things. Your mindset changes, you're really tired throughout the day. And I just didn't have the same energy. But then it got to even points where I just didn't even really want to work because I was, I don't want to say depression, but it kind of sets into a point where you're just like withdrawn, you know what I mean? And then you don't want to do anything, or I didn't want to do anything. I wasn't going to the gym anymore. Like, I was just trying to like recover my, I don't know, what do you call it? Yeah, just recover and recharge. And so the things that has helped me through, and it was, a lot of it was given to me by my coaches, but like the first thing that I had to do was change my routine. And whether it wasn't like don't work, but it was just switch things up a little bit to where like you're kind of breaking that cycle a little bit and having to relearn a different a different structure throughout the day, which keeps it then, or changes it to something a little bit more, I don't want to say exciting, but it just changes it a little bit, right? And then the other thing is making sure that you're still doing your you time, and for me, like, it was really about schedule. I had to sit down and schedule out, when I was going to go to the gym, when I was going to do prospecting or different meetings or whatever the case. But one of the things or problems that I realized was that I was doing my time blocking, like every minute of every day was time blocked. And so there's pressure on me to stay right on that exact minute of time to get to the next, the next, the next. My coach encouraged me to have like 30-minute transition periods or hour transition periods, just to kind of relieve that pressure of not feeling like you were, pushing yourself so much throughout the day. But then also schedule yourself. I was scheduling family time, which sounds kind of stupid, but at the end of the day, like, I had to do it to remind myself to do these things. And then also taking a day, taking at least a day off, or trying to schedule that. Because again, at those points I was working 7 days a week, like throughout the entire day. And while I found pride in that, it was literally killing me, and
Yep.
so um God, what were some of the other exercises? I think getting back to journaling was one of, at one point I had to get back to journaling, just was really just affirmations and mindset, journals, just to clear my head, reading, um, and then adding in different, like audiobooks as well, just to kind of clear my head also. And like would take 30 minutes to sometimes an hour a day to just focus on that and learning, so you weren't constantly grinding. I think that the my issue was that I felt like I was always reacting as opposed to
Right.
being proactive. And I think I thrive in when I'm creating and when I'm growing and that sort of thing, as opposed to just dealing with all the stuff that's hitting you all at one time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. And one thing I want to reiterate there is you said that it really started getting back to your schedule. Because when you
Yeah.
get off your schedule, it's just one little thing falls apart and two little things falls apart. And for me, I was talking about this here a couple weeks ago, is I have been working so hard on manifestation and really to get out of that funk, because it's been, during COVID, for I think for everybody, it's been the best real estate years of our careers. And when that's not coming back anytime soon, because it's a different market, and that's okay. That's good. It's good to have different markets. But it's also challenging because you set things up that work that are no longer working, and you're constantly trying to figure out and pivot and work with. And that for me has been a big challenge, because not only am I doing it for myself, but I'm doing it for our coaching org, and wanting to make sure that they're staying up to date with what's working, and being able to be successful. And for me, that's been, I'll say, overwhelming. Maybe that's the right word, is overwhelming. And just like you were saying, you have the business and you got it ramped up, and you have responsibilities, and that stuff can really weigh on you, and it stops you from doing the things in your schedule that keep you on track, that keep you focused. And that to me has been one of the biggest things, to stay on track and keep moving forward. Because when you have a path that you're going down, you can go down it. But when you're all over the place and you're worried about things that you can't control, then you're kind of, you are, what did they say? You're up to the track rather than building the track to go where you want to go.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, like, having my schedule like every single minute blocked throughout the day added a lot of pressure on myself, because I always wanted to be on track. And if I didn't get something done at the end of the day, or didn't get to like that one time block of stuff, it would frustrate me. You know what I mean? So just knowing, like, I think my coach had to work for a while to get me to understand that you got to build time for the oh shit, like the stuff that you can't control. You know what I mean? Because we're not going to be able to get away from that random call from a client that deals are blowing up, that you just really have to take, control of. And so you got to like allow time for that. So like that hour transition or 30-minute transition in between those time blocks allowed for that time to happen. And I knew that I didn't have to blow off, something, another time block that was important to me, I could handle it during one of those transition periods. And then at the end of the day, I wasn't feeling like I failed. You know what I mean? I felt like I got to everything that I planned on doing, kind of relieving a little bit of pressure. The other one thing that I do want to add, I think I didn't take a vacation for probably like 10 years, 8, 9, 10 years, something like that. Because I was so focused on work and building and everything else. And while that was tough on the family as well, but it was also tough on me. And another suggestion that, I had to implement, but my coach highly recommended is like every, whether it's a month or 3 months or whatever that time difference is, plan something, even if it's a weekend where you're just going to disconnect and get away, put the structures in place to where you can step away, but to clear your head, but do it consistently throughout the year, whether, like I said, whether it's once a quarter, once a month, something like that. So you have something to look forward to, and you also have time to decompress.
Love that. Love that. Making sure that you pre-plan in stuff so that you're doing stuff to rejuvenate yourself. And you have to plan
Mhm.
that in. Great stuff, Gary. Great stuff. Well, one thing I wanted to do today was a little bit different. I wanted to be a little bit more conversational, but I think with the amount of people on, we're not going to be able to do that. So that's okay. Why don't we do something that's fun? And I'm Gary. I want you to go first because you were the first one to speak. Tell everybody a random skill or a hidden talent that you have that we don't know about for Gary Massa.
Well, I might need to think about that one.
All right, Dave Lawson, you're
Yeah,
going to be up next,
come
and I'm
back
going
to
to come
me.
back to you, Gary. We're going to come back to you with
Okay.
that one.
Okay. My skill is I spent the time to learn the sales business. I learned the scripts. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to ask questions, and it's had an absolutely enormous effect on my business. The problem is amateurs wing it and professionals practice, right? You
Yep.
know, Michael Jordan, he never practiced anything, right? I
Wrong.
mean, that's like the most ridiculous statement ever, right?
Uh-huh.
And, you know, what did he always say? He practiced harder, way harder than he played. And so the thing is the people in this industry, guys, we're in a sales business. Nothing happens unless we sell something. You know,
Yep.
you guys have heard me. I'll just repeat it. Are there 100 or more things to sell a house?
Mhm.
Yes. There's only four things that make you money. Should you have a plan? How do you spell plan? Start it out.
PLAN.
P is prospecting.
Uh-huh.
L, lead follow up. A, appointments with buyers, sellers, and investors. N, negotiating contracts. Okay. That's it. I just came from our team training. Sorry, I was a few minutes late because it ran over. And what I was doing is training my team. You know, when you go out and you show a property, now ours was because we're a Zillow Flex partner, we want, we have to build relationship with people in the first meeting.
Yep.
So we went and we talked about the entire process. We talked about what you say it, how you mirror match. It's all of that. If you study sales, I mean, I tell people all the time, you have two choices. You can get better at your job or you can work a lot harder. So
Yep.
this is you this the section on this was how to thrive without burnout, right?
That was it. That was it. Yeah. Today's topic is thriving without burnout. And
Yeah.
I think what you were just talking about there with, perfecting skills is one of the great ways to do it. But go for it, Dave. We're ready to hear this.
Yeah. So the thing is if you want to do that, and I teach the agents, they get these leads. I'd say you have two choices. You can work with twice as many people to make the same sales, or you can work with half as many and make the same sales. It all comes down to you, right? And I just got back last night from the EXP event in Scottsdale with like some of the top agents in the whole world. And my friend Brian, and he's on this call, and we were talking about scripting, right? And Brian was, because if you can just say a few things slightly different to get your people to react or to convert, right? Then you win. That's what it's all about, right? And the thing is, so Brian and I, we went after the event and we one night and it was like getting late and I was tired, but man, I wanted to meet with Brian. And if you guys don't know Brian, who's now with Lofty, you should get to know him. And I don't know, is there a way for him to be able to share with, can we get him to
Was
share?
I think Brian might have been on last week. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Brian was the
Yeah.
presenter last week showing us some of the highlights. I know we had a couple of people that were asking for him to come back again, so we might talk with him again, but
So
he's
the
fantastic.
main, okay, so he was just talking about a script, right? Oh, it says he's here. Okay. So maybe he can talk. So we were talking about how can you get somebody, so you meet a buyer and you want them to talk to you, or you want to build the rapport. So I'm going to role play with you really quick, okay? So Cameron, man, it is so good to meet you, right? And then Brian was talking about a handshake over the phone, right? So
Right?
Brian or Cameron, it's so great to meet you. So we're role playing.
Oh, great to meet you too, Dave.
Oh, God, thank you. Now that, by the way, I just learned from Brian. You know what that is? That's a handshake over the phone. Okay. So you're a buyer, right? So I say, Cameron, has anyone ever sat down with you and shown you exactly how or what the difference is between buying and renting is? Has your other agents that you work with, have they ever done that with you?
No, they've never done that.
No, you're kidding.
No, 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 never spoke with them.
Okay. I say, no, you're kidding. And I wait 7 seconds and they're like, what? Right? And then you say, well, you have to understand this is the number one way to build wealth in America. So would it be okay if we sat down or did a Zoom meeting or whatever for 10 minutes so I can show you that? That is sales, guys. And so if you meet a buyer and you're trying to convert them and you get really good at what I'm just saying and what Brian even told me something that I recorded it and I'm going to do a training next Tuesday with my office based on one little tiny script change. But at the end of the day, you can work harder, you can work smarter. You can Gary and I have something in common. We're two things. We're old and we've done this a long time, right, Gary? And
That's
we
right.
also worked way too much in the beginning. Yes or yes, Gary, right?
That's true.
And the thing is, but Gary and I are both very highly trained. In fact, the vast majority of everybody on this call is very good. But the thing is, you can get better. And then the other thing, and I'm going to show it to you again. I showed you this last time. Um, Gary's talking about time blocking and all that. Did you guys can you see this?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay.
It keeps disappearing. It's a good
Yeah.
trick.
Okay, right there. It's
Yeah.
called the cube, right? And it has 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes. These are like $12, gang. Buy them on Amazon. Um, and the thing is it talks about getting shit done, right? And so what I do is I say, I'm going to finish this whatever it is. I'm going to work on this training for my team and I put 30 minutes down and I don't know if you can see it, but if I do this right now, it's counting down from 30 minutes to zero. And guess what? I can't do anything else. I can't check my email. I can't, my phone is upside down and turned off or on a silent. the thing is, I mean, we have to figure out a way, but I can tell you that I'm trying to only work 6 hours a day. And I bet you I do more in 6 hours than most people do in 12 hours a day. So, do you want to work 12 hours a day or 6 hours a day? And I can tell you that my conversations with people, my work ethic, all of that, I've learned that you can and will be able to learn this if you do it. One of the things I tell people is the perfect morning routine, right? So I have a document from 10 or 20 years ago about keep recording everything you do for a week in 30-minute sections, right? And then what you do is you put um, I or an X. X means bullshit. I means what? Income producing activities, right? And the thing is I do income producing activities the vast majority of my day. Now, my income activities are now also how to train the agents to do what I do. So it's just you guys, you can spend the time on getting better, or you can spend the time working, 50, 60, 80 hours a week. So
One thing I want to say is both guys here, and this is interesting, is both of you have spoken about how important it is to have education and building your education, becoming better as a agent, not just working the business, but also becoming a better you so that you can go out and do that. And that if you have a coach or a business coach or whatever it may be, but having someone that can help you do that is something you both brought up. And then the biggest thing is 12 hours or 6 hours. Or, for most agents, it's really more like, do you want to work 5 hours or do you want to work 1 hour really solid where you're focused on doing those money making activities? Can avoid burnout. I totally relate with that. And the scheduling thing is something that if you're not working on one or you're not working with a schedule, you're going to have burnout. It's guaranteed.
And gang, we're in a sales business. That means that you have to do lead. How often do you have to do lead generation, Corinna? She's unmuting
Okay,
herself.
and I
That's
forgot my mouse today. I had to move my office.
Okay.
So sorry. I do lead generation every day, multiple
every
times a
day.
See, I
day.
didn't have to. I knew, you know why I asked her? Because I knew the answer, gang.
Yeah.
How many of you can say you do lead generation every day? Man, I wish all the people that were listening in on that, if we could have a poll. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to do this right now. I want you to put in the chat every single person that you're on here out of a work day, how many days out of a week do you, and I want you to be honest, and it's not like a test, but I want you to say how many of you do a minimum of 1 hour. I think you should do 4.
4 hours.
I think you should, I mean, you're a salesperson, right? If you're a salesperson, you need to sell. So do you need to sell for 1 hour? I mean, if you worked at IBM and they paid you $500,000 a year to be their number one salesperson, and you worked 1 hour a day on sales, how long would you last in that job?
They'd fire you. They'd fire you. If you're not in, here's the truth, you guys. And this is firsthand experience. If you're not in, and Karina, you're coming up next, and I know you this because you are working with one of the big tech companies. But if you're not in the office at 7 a.m. and you're not putting in more time and more effort and outperforming everyone else in the office, you're on the chopping block if you're at these big places. And that's the best part about real estate is no one's behind you with the chopping block, but you have to be that person. So Karina, I want to hear what you do to combat burnout and how you work through it and how you thrive when you're going through it, because I know we all have that. But first, the question, and it's real short here: random fun talent, something that we don't know, hidden talent that you have, quickly, and then tell us how you get through burnout and how you're teaching agents in the Lotus Group to deal with burnout.
So I will say Dave and I are like related somehow because I started my sales career listening to my mom sell invisible fences at 3 years old. By the time I was 5, my dad owned a car dealership and I was sitting in the showroom bored out of my mind, but I had to just be quiet. So I'm an assassin when it comes to closing and negotiating because it's in my blood. Like I've tried to get out of sales many times and God sends me right back in. And so it's a passion. It's a huge passion of mine. And I will say, growing up with entrepreneur parents in different types of sales environments, I did watch them burn out in many situations. And one of the things that I put into place in my life that they did not do in their life was I make sure that working out is the first thing I do every morning before the sun comes up. Like while everybody else is sleeping, I'm getting a 2.5 hour workout for many reasons. One, you can work out the negativity. It's a great time to listen to some of your sales coaching videos that you don't want to take up during the time because you're prospecting or you're with people. And the more people you're with every day or the more people you talk to every day, the faster you get your prospecting done, whether it's in person, on the phone, calling past clients, or just randomly walking through Home Depot. Just they're all activities. So I do prospect at least an hour to 4 hours a day, even on Sundays, because if I'm at church, I'm prospecting and helping my parishioners, right? If whatever I'm doing, I can't help it. It's just me. It's just in my blood. So I will say that for burnout, it's really important that you put your health first because if you're not feeling good, you're just frustrated with every call that you're on. The only way that I know that you can get rid of that is go throw some tires at CrossFit and you will feel better or bike or whatever that you like to do. When I was selling software, I kickboxed 6 days a week because it was such a stressful situation. I was flying up and down the East Coast and I had to prospect and I had to be in the office that was 2 hours away from my house by 7 a.m. and somehow get my kids to daycare as a single mom. So this is such a much easier business because you can work from your home if you need to. Like you don't have to go to some crazy office if you can't put it in your time. But figure out the things that are really important. And like Gary, I spent decades without going on a vacation. And in the last couple of years, I'll say that I kind of slacked off on vacation because the market was a little weird and I just kind of got sidetracked. But I have been taking those weekends probably like once every 6 weeks just to chill out. And sometimes I don't even go anywhere. I just block my calendar and say I'm going to be out of town. And I get to have like a little staycation in Florida, which is nice when you can vacation in your backyard. But I don't have to talk to the customers for a couple days and take a break and let my assistant handle it. And also, if you're in this business and you don't have a TC, then get a TC. Take something off your plate and delegate. If you're not a delegate, I'm also a great delegator, probably because I was a single mom running big software stuff over the years. So I knew to delegate to my assistants, my engineers, and my children. Get your children involved to help you. And if you're going out to knock on doors, bring your kids. People love kids. And if they don't like kids, you don't want to work with them. And so the thing is that you can leverage your kids to spend time with you so you can get your quality time with your family and you can still be prospecting and teaching your kids. I mean, I got so many great lessons as a kid growing up in a sales environment that I could not imagine not doing that with my kids. Turns out my son in high school was teaching his friends how to sell their Xboxes on Craigslist back then. He's actually 26, so he's older. And Dave, I'm not that much younger than you and Gary. And I might even be older again than Gary. I just live in Florida. And so the thing is that my kids are master negotiators because they listen to me negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts for the Fortune 250. They listen to me. They couldn't help but hear me because my voice booms in the house. And so they heard all the negotiations. They hear how I talk to people. They're great with people. It's a skill that so many people don't have. And if you're in sales, I will tell you the other thing I learned from my parents, because it's a really great thing. When they first came in, my dad was both my parents were Army brats. So their parents were not entrepreneurs. So they had no idea, right? And so they started getting into sales. And at one point they were in a network marketing company and they were told, you have to read a book a week in your profession and you need to listen to these tapes in your car. Now we have, Spotify and everything else to listen to. And my dad said to me, I said, Dad, why do you have to do this? I think I was like 6 or 7. And he goes, because I have to educate myself. I can't go to school for this. I have to listen to Tony Robbins. I have to listen to Tom Hopkins. And honestly, in our market right now, go back to those old Tom Hopkins trainings, because he was all about the ABCs of closing deals. And in my house, we have a little joke. If you've ever heard, do you know what the always be closing? Well, we have /CS, which means Karina style. I'm always closing something. And so if you always have to think of closing. If you're not closing, you're just showing. I'm not a showing agent. I'm a selling agent. I'm a closer, and I will come out every single time 100%. I win every listing I've ever been on. And I don't leave until they like me. I'll sit there for 4 hours. What else do I have to do until I win that listing?
That's it. That's great stuff. And one thing that everybody has brought up, listen, you guys, what you fill your head with, the education that you choose to intake every time that you are spending time on yourself is what you're going to produce. If it's Tony Robbins, there's so much good information out there that we choose to ignore because we're too busy. But when you go and do the second part, what everybody here said is scheduling. When you go in and do your scheduling, you have time for that. Even if it's just in the car, you have time to be able to fill your head with the right things to help you get through that burnout. So I love it. Great stuff there.
I have one other thing that helps
go
people
for it. Yep.
real quick. And that is, I never, ever finish my day. I don't care if it's midnight, 3 a.m. when I'm walking out of my office. And that is true. Some nights that are longer. I have my to-do list with all the people's names and phone numbers already printed out for me the next day. Because if you have to sit down at your desk at 7, 8, 9, 10, whenever you sit at your desk, and you have to figure that out, forget about it. You might as well just stay home.
Yeah,
Because by the time you get it all together,
20
your
years
day's over.
ago, didn't we?
See?
No, and that's it, you guys. That's it. Is that if you are on a schedule and you're working your schedule, when you make it the day before, you've already started your day. And not only does it allow you to sleep better and get better rest because you're not trying to figure out what you're supposed to do when you wake up, but it also allows you to start the day running after you do your exercise, which I believe is probably the single most important thing for salespeople is waking up and getting going, getting moving, your body, your brain. But having that schedule and having everything pre-planned, that's huge. That's huge. So I love that. Love that. Randy, you're up next. I want to hear how you worked through burnout. I know you've been doing this longer than, or just about as long or longer than everybody here. You've been through it just like we all have. You have ups and downs. Before you do that though, one hidden talent that we don't know about yet.
So
Quickly.
maybe I wouldn't call it a talent, but one thing we can maybe ask Cameron that would be easier to answer is maybe a one fun fact that maybe someone doesn't know.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, go for
I think
it.
that's an easier one potentially, but because I haven't heard any talents yet, people. Come on.
Yeah, I know, me neither.
But I could dance. I'm a good dancer, so that is a talent. Now it's been a few years since I've hit the dance floor. Usually, my opportunity for the dance floor now is like a wedding at this point. It's no longer clubs.
Awesome.
And then, fun fact, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. So that's like a random thing that you would probably never think about. But
I want to do that one day. All right, that's probably how you get through burnout, right? Shoot. All right. How do you handle the burnout and get through it and still thrive during those times?
yeah, so look at that. See, Karina, she's a certified hypnosis person. See, like that's like who would ever think that?
Yeah, right.
I love that. So yeah, it definitely changed over the years since I've had kids. Before I had kids, when I had more control of my schedule, I was very deep into, and this is even before I met my wife, running a multi-million-dollar flipping business in San Diego. I mean, my days were very structured. That was the only thing I focused on. But I did a lot of trips. I did a ton of personal development, like constant, as an individual, as a group with my employees. Like that's how we thrived in the very upbeat, cutthroat environment, because we were doing about 80 flips a year. So to do that, you have to make a lot of phone calls, right? And go to a lot of appointments. We've done deals with Gary during my years at CT Homes. So that was the before Randy. Then I met my wife and got really deep into faith, and I made that my priority. So that was a phase of my life that is ongoing. Now I just have kids added to it, and that really changes a lot. So now that my kids are very young, 4 and 2 years old, the last few years have been very unpredictable. I think the easiest way I could explain it, you're trying to figure out life in a very different way now. And it's, I don't think you really figure it out until the kids are at the age of, I'm guessing, of being able to take care of themselves to a degree. So we're getting there, like with the 4-year-old, kind of, right? So, but with the two, we're still far away. So, and then my wife being an entrepreneur and me, that adds another element of complexity, being complex. So it's very different right now. It's very random. However, what I do is I have meetings every week with my wife so we can talk about our schedule for the next week, sometimes maybe 2 weeks, but really we just kind of focus 1 week at a time because, kids get sick often when they're not young. So you have to be very flexible at this age, when you have kids this age, as parents. So I can plan my day and then all of a sudden it gets thrown off, and I have to be okay with it and not allow it to bother me, right? Which is not an easy thing to do as an entrepreneur when you have, a day planned out already. So I find myself, looking inward and leaning on God and faith on just bringing peace to what every week brings. Of course, I do, I have a plan for each day, but it's very hard to stick to it exactly. So I'm just being very transparent. However, what I do not compromise is working out. I work out every single day. Still, even when with the kids being where they are, my wife knows I need that. That's my therapy. So every day I will do a workout of some kind. So that's kind of my way of avoiding burnout, of just kind of getting in my own zone. Sometimes I'll watch sports. Sometimes I'll read the Bible. Sometimes I'll read a book. I mean, I'll listen to a podcast, but that's my space. Sometimes I just think, right? And the greatest ideas sometimes come to me during those times. And then I make sure that I spend time with my kids in the morning and the evening. So it's very, it's very different when you have kids this age, and it's not, I haven't figured it out. I'm going to be very honest. It's still a work in progress. Every month, I feel like we have to switch and adjust because, 6 months, maybe the kids are going to school full time. Then we decide maybe we'll do half time. And now we're back to thinking full time. I mean, it's like we're constantly making different decisions based on feedback we receive from life, right? And our kids, and how are we feeling, and everything. So it's a very different dynamic. So anyway, but to me also travel is important. So we definitely allocate time to travel, visit family. And community is very important. So I'm very intentional, especially living in Florida for the last 2 years, being new to the area. I had a lot of friends in San Diego. My community was thriving there. I don't have community, right? It's slowly building, and it's so much harder to do at our age with kids. However, I make that a priority. We are intentional. We are part of growth groups through our church. So it's structured for us. We don't have to structure it. We don't have to create it. So we just started our semester, let's call it, of growth groups for couples. So we drop our kids at the daycare at church. We go with 10, 12 other couples, and we just talk about, the Bible. We talk about life. So that's a way of how we can incorporate structured social time, right? Around what you like, right? It doesn't have to be the Bible. It could be structuring maybe something where you go work out with a group of people that, and the gym has a daycare. I know gyms have daycares, right? So it's like, think of things that, if community is important to you, which I believe it should be to most people, all right? Because being isolated as an entrepreneur is very lonely, and it will eventually wear you out, right? So anyway, so those are the big things. I would say family time, do something for you health wise, right? Community building, right? If you can squeeze those in, and if, and for me, faith. So I read the Bible on a weekly basis. So whatever those, 4 pillars are to you or whatever, if you can find a way to squeeze those in amongst everything else that everybody talked about, you will feel accomplished each week. And just know that you might not be able to accomplish all of them every single week. And it's okay. Don't beat yourself up, but be aware of what you've missed or what you wanted to do and didn't, and just reflect on it and see if you can incorporate it the following week, right? I mean, there's no secret formula that we all are able to tell you, like, oh, we all do everything we have on our schedule perfectly. Like, no way. No freaking way. It's impossible. We do our best. But those are the things I wanted to share. It's more non-business related, because I feel a lot of you guys shared some incredible things on just business structure. I wanted to go a little bit deeper into the kind of more of the everything outside of business that makes you more effective in business when you actually sit down to work.
I love it. And I love that we got to meet the before Randy and the after Randy, right? And you kind of seen how you've worked through this stuff, because that is a great example that I know a lot of agents that have just been doing this a couple of years. You're going to go through these periods and you have to transition and you have to pivot. Personal time. Everyone here has spoken about having personal time and scheduling personal time. I think all of us have had times that none of us went on vacations and you went years and years of just working and grinding. And it doesn't have to be, at least in my opinion, a huge vacation. You can take time off where you're just scheduling away for a day or a weekend. Keeping those things. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
quick little
Exactly.
staycation, maybe you have some miles on your credit card that you haven't used. Book one night. I mean, it could go so far.
And be flexible. Being flexible, like you said, Randy, you have to be flexible, because when you're flexible, you can make those staycations fun. You can have stuff that it doesn't have to be a huge ordeal, but when you're flexible and you have the right mindset, you can really change wherever you are, no matter what, and make it something that allows you to work through it. And one thing I will say, because I like I said, I've been working on this a lot. I mean, heavily, you guys. This is like my main focus the last probably 10 weeks. It's no matter what's going on, no matter how bad it is or how good it is, the perspective that you look at it. Because I'm going to be honest, the loser of the Super Bowl is the most miserable person in the world, but the winners are the happiest people in the whole world. So it's always your perspective on every single challenge, every success. Your perspective will make it or break it for you. And being able to have a schedule, have those things that everyone says, work out in the morning, have stuff that you're doing that's bettering yourself, fill your mind with education, have a coach, better yourself so that you're able to constantly do the best you can, and then be flexible. If you don't get it all done, that's okay. That's totally okay. I want to, like I said earlier, Randy, did you have something? Because I wanted to open this up a little bit. We got 10 more minutes here. Kind of do a roundtable on thoughts.
I wanted
Go
to
ahead,
say
Randy.
one thing too, maybe business related. It's like, because I was speaking to a new agent recently, but so if you implement the things that like David talked about, Gary, Karina, right, business wise, structuring, lead follow up, right, we will go through a market like we are recently have, where buyers are frozen, right, and they're like, we don't want to do anything, we don't want to. That doesn't mean you stop following up with them, right? Because here is where convergence happens, is when moments like we have experienced in the last 3 weeks, where rates all of a sudden have dropped by over half a point, if not more, you need to be then following up with those buyers that kept telling you for the last 6 months they don't want to buy because they're afraid, because the rates are too high. This is the moment where you can get them off the fence. Don't anticipate that they are on top of the rates, right? All they're hearing is just all the negativity on the media, right? So if you consistently were following up for the last 6, 7, 8, 9 months, they are almost like anticipating for you to tell them the good news, right? And I can tell you, buyers are getting off the fence right now. I know in San Diego, my sphere, they are, not all, but some of them are buying off the fence and are looking at properties right now because the rates have dropped. And who knows if they will stay here, if they will go up. And I remind them of what happened last year. In September, rates dropped, then they went up to 7%. So this is your opportunity. So the point of why I'm bringing this up is like, if you actually have your structure of lead follow-up and sphere follow-up, you need to be prepared and ready to go and aim and fire in moments like this. This is your chance to literally make the most money you probably made this whole year in the last 3 months of the year. And most agents miss that boat completely. They completely miss the boat. They maybe get too focused on following up with doing new open houses, doing all that, meeting new people. But what happened to the previous leads? Those are the ones that are ready to buy right now if they were just told and get educated that, hey, did you realize that you can get an FHA loan right now at 5.5%? And if we could get the seller to buy it down even more, you might get a rate out of 5% right now. Did you even know that? Most will not even realize that's even possible today. So anyway, I just want to share that because, and look for opportunities. Like it would be good because I think as business owners, we get used to things if things are going well, but who's amazing at this from our panel is, oh my goodness. I forgot his name. Why did the commercial?
That's okay.
TV. No, he's always on. He's known for his TV commercials. What the heck? Why am I?
Matt Battietta.
Matt Battietta. Oh my goodness, I need more coffee. So Matt Battietta is amazing at the unique selling proposition concept. The dude is constantly thinking, what angle am I gonna target people in this next quarter, in the next 6 months, based on what the market is doing? To me, I mean, that's an incredible way of constantly changing and pivoting as you continue doing what you're used to, but you're constantly looking around you in the environment and the market and thinking about what is the next unique selling proposition that I can put in front of an audience, right? To generate more yeses, to generate the phone to ring. Like you have to keep evolving and pivoting in this business. So if you're in Florida right now, for example, short sales is a thing. If you're not thinking about it right now, you're missing the boat. Like, period. Like you have to be implementing that as part of your business model now. That's not going to be all of your business, but it should start as a small percentage where your focus should start going because it is here. It will probably continue increasing. And if you don't go in that, then the top producers will take all of your business. I'll stop there. I'm sorry.
No, that's it. And we will. If you don't keep innovating, you're not on top of it. Someone else is. That's the fun of this business, is that you can grow as fast as you want to grow. And I had something to say there, but I forgot it, but that's okay. I wanted to open it up. We got 5 more minutes. Did anybody else want to jump on and kind of share their thoughts of what Randy was saying about burnout, you guys? How are you avoiding burnout? Number 1, number 2 tips, if anyone want to jump on there. Okay, no, I did actually just remembered. One thing I will say about this funk that you can get into when you overwork yourself is a lot of the time it's because you're working on things that you're not seeing successes in, you're not having results, you're not seeing results. So sometimes the best way to get out of those situations is to make that pivot that Randy was just talking about. Make that turn and start working and focusing on something else where you can start seeing those results. I mean, a lot of, our agents are implementing the expired systems that Gary and I were talking about earlier, and they get a listing in a week. And then they're on fire and they're motivated and they want to go do it more because they're seeing results and they're not spinning their wheels, trying to do things that have worked in the past, but aren't working currently. And it discourages you. It makes it so you don't want to do it. So if you're trying things, you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall, turn, pivot, reach out to one of us. We'll give you stuff to try if you want to try stuff new. We're all here for you. We all want to help you. And then when you start seeing those successes, you'll start getting motivated again to try harder. You're not going to feel like every day is a sludge and you're fighting the world and that kind of stuff. Because I know agents that I've been talking with, a lot of agents feel this way, that it just doesn't work. It's the market's fault. That's not true. It's always up to us. It's always up to you to make those decisions every single day and plan your day and have those successes. So did any of you guys want to jump on and kind of comment on your thoughts?
Hey,
I'll jump in for a second.
Brian?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Brian, do you want to talk about that 1 minute script? Brian, are you on?
I think Brian was in the comments there. He can, but I don't know if we have access because I know Mitch is not. Mitch isn't here today. I don't know who has the access to add him as a speaker.
Okay.
But we'll get it figured out. Or Dave, if you want to chat with it, if you had it on hand.
Yeah.
It'd probably be better to let him do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
or you can do it.
I really should. I'm going to study what he did. He did it, and so I've got to go back and review it. But
it looks like he just jumped on. Look at us. We're pros here. We know exactly what we're doing. He's on the call now. So this is perfect because we got 4 minutes. So that'll be perfect.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, Ryan.
Oh, hey, hey, everybody. How's it going? David, thank you. I have like 4 minutes, so we can make this a quick one.
Yeah.
Sorry if I can't show you my face or not. So, David, you can be my guinea pig. So, a couple of things I like to say. This has been very enjoyable for me. I have learned a lot from this conversation, Cameron. I've been listening the whole time. And what I would like to say for everybody here is the mistake that a lot of us make in sales is we assume that these are buyers and sellers, and they're just not. They're one thing, and they're homeowners or renters. So I want to state the one thing that I can say to everybody on this call is we put ourselves in a box, Cameron, on every call, because you alienate the person by saying, hey, would you like to buy? How can I help you buy a house? You don't know their intent until you talk to them. Even on Zillow Flex Group, the only conversion rate, and I talked to these guys this week, is 7%. 7% average close rate. Okay, on appointments. We assume buy, sell, when in fact they're homeowners or renters. So what we want to do is make every call lifetime value. Okay, so whenever we talk to a lead, we want to make sure we put them on a path to be a homeowner or a listing and a buyer all at the one time from the very first call. Does that make sense, David? No matter what. So
that's right. Yeah.
At the end of the day. So we want to maximize every communication. So I'm going to give you a quick call script under the assumption. And then for everybody here, I'll say to all of you, if you knew that the person was a homeowner before you called them, in camera, I'm going to ask you, if you knew before you picked up the phone or talked to somebody, they were a homeowner, would you convert them better? Would you say something different? Absolutely. And if you put them on a long-term journey, wouldn't your journey be better to create lifetime value to make sure they do business with you forever?
Absolutely.
We talk about Fellow, right? What Fellow does is they go into your database and they clean up your data that's bad data, and they tell you, they go and find all the homeowners, and then they market to them as homeowners, and then they bring you back the converted lead. Everybody here can do that in their database. We're looking at we're fishing with the wrong bait. We're fishing with buyer and seller bait when we should be fishing with homeowner and renter bait. That's the first premise. Okay. So David, you ready? We're going to jump on this. I'm going to call you. Okay.
Let's do it.
Hey, David, I noticed that you were on Zillow. And by the way, guys, I know Flex requires you to say certain things, but let's just assume they don't. Hey, David, I noticed you came on Zillow and you had, and I noticed that you were looking at this property. Hey, real quickly, nice to meet you. My name's Brian.
Hey, Brian, nice to meet you.
Hey, the reason I'm calling is I'm doing some research on this property. And really quick, I got a quick question. I'll let you go. You're a homeowner, right?
Yes, I am.
Great. We do a special consultation for homeowners and for everybody. It's called a list power analysis. I'm assuming you've already had a list power analysis?
No. What's that?
We walk through kind of your listing power versus your buy power, since you're wanting to look at this home. Right at this point, he's buying and he's my lifetime client. I don't need to know when he's looking to buy. I don't know what I'm going to get all that in this call. I have got room on this call to put him on a path to list and buy a home. He could be listing, David, where's your listing at? Are you moving to a new location? Are you marketing in your home in the same market you're looking? Obviously you're looking. Do you live in San Diego or are you moving from a different area?
No, I live in Park City, but I want to move to Carlsbad.
Great. So a list power analysis, understanding your list power in Park City versus your pie power in San Diego. Keep in mind that in Park City, he probably hasn't put your house on the market, right, David? Because you're just looking because you can't have your house on the market and then shop to buy. Probably, hey, is your listing on the market? Now I got a referral opportunity, right?
No,
And
yeah, you're exactly right, Brian. We're thinking we want to sell here, but we got to make sure we know where we're going.
so before I try to buy him in San Diego, I got to put him on a list power analysis in Park City. Now we can reverse this, Cameron, this different way. So, hey, nice to meet you, David. And David says, nice to meet you back, right?
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
I'm looking to do a little shopping. I got a quick question. You're a renter, right?
Yes, I am a renter.
Great. I have a special consultation for renters. It's called a rent power analysis. If you're working with another agent, have you ever done a rent power analysis with an agent before?
No, I've never heard of that. What is that?
So for everybody here, I've been using list power to make power listers, buyers too, and rent power analysis to turn every renter into a buyer power. And man, do they respond on that. I'm trying to create every single opportunity on the call into an opportunity to put a renter on a path to become a buyer. From the very first sentence, nice to meet you, handshake over the phone, really quick question, you're a homeowner, right? And now I put my lead on a path where they're going to do business with me on every call. And I've worked with countless agents on this. I've worked with Movement Mortgage and other scripts. And that's a very simple way to introduce yourself on every call. That's
incredible. You guys, did you guys all just get that? Absolutely incredible information we just got there. The power analysis. I mean, Brian, thank you for jumping on here with just 4 minutes ago. That was great, you guys. We are running out of time. So that
Cameron,
was
another script call with you guys later on. Sorry.
That's it. Brian is with Lofty. And if you guys want to connect with him, you can reach out to Mitch. I know Mitch has his info, so you can reach out to him. But all of you guys, Randy,
cheers, guys.
Karina, Gary, Brian, Dave, thank you guys all for being on. That was awesome. I got to jump onto the other call, but have a great rest of your week and we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget, invite a friend. Everybody's welcome here. We want to help everybody. So bring your friends, bring other agents you know, and let's see you guys next week.
Later.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great day. Thanks, guys.